If Ayatollah Sistani declared jihad, there wouldn't be a single American left in Iraq.
We think of Ayatollah Sistani as our nuclear time bomb. Let the Americans know, if he declares jihad, we will follow.
If he were to call for jihad, I'd close my workshop, I'd bid my family farewell, and I'd go to war.
In the souks, in the chai shops, in internet cafes, on the wall and online, there's an all-knowing presence. A face that's seen everywhere, yet few have ever actually seen the Iranian-born Grand Ayatollah Ali Sistani. Of late, there's been another highly visible face, that of the angry young rebel cleric Muqtada al-Sadr, whose militia took on the might of the American army. The two men offer contrasting visions of Shia Islam. Muqtada is militant, his supporters impatient. Sistani stands for the moderate majority. The success or failure of America's democracy project in Iraq hangs on the blessing of this old man, who hasn't stepped out of his house in 6 years and who doesn't give interviews.
امروز آقا پشتوانه قوی مردم عراق وجود آقای سیستانیه.
The only thing that people in Iraq can rely on right now is the presence of Grand Ayatollah Sistani. I am really repulsed by the way that the Western and Arab media compare Mr. Sistani to people who are just not of the same caliber. It's truly dreadful when you hear the media comparing Muqtada al-Sadr to Ayatollah Sistani. It's like comparing a turnip to a king.
The Americans recognize his importance, not as king, but as kingmaker. That's why, as the June the 30th handover approaches, the Ayatollah's political significance is growing. Over the past year, the Americans have repeatedly sought a meeting with Sistani, but the US Viceroy has never been granted an audience.
The Governing Council is in discussions with the Grand Ayatollah, for whom we have the greatest respect, and I think it's probably best if I leave those discussions between the Governing Council and the Ayatollah.
Sistani is understood to have sent Paul Bremer a message. "You're American," he said. "I'm Iranian. Let's let the Iraqi people decide." It was a clever response. Clever because Sistani knows the majority of the Iraqi people will do exactly as he commands, whatever that might be.
At this stage we need silence and diplomacy, not fighting. Maybe one day Mr. Sistani will declare jihad and we will become fighters. But we hope that won't happen and that we'll be able to deal with the Americans through dialogue.
This is what we do know about Grand Ayatollah Ali Sistani. He's the chosen leader of the vast majority of the world's 180 million Shia Muslims. They follow his interpretation of the teachings of the Quran, and they're obliged by Shia law to give him 1/5 of their disposable incomes, so his organisation has access to tens of millions of pounds. Held under house arrest by Saddam Hussein, Ali Sistani communicated with his followers through a global network of representative officers. The most active are in Iran, where the Grand Ayatollah was born. His representatives have become local celebrities.
The object of emulation supervises and gives you orders regarding your daily religious affairs. But when we say religious affairs, we don't just mean praying, pilgrimage and fasting. We mean every aspect of human beings' lives.
From Jakarta to Moscow, Tbilisi to New York, Sistani embassies function as drop-in centres for his followers. This one's in Mashhad, the Ayatollah's birthplace in northeastern Iran.
We have 100 to 150 people coming here every day. It's so busy that we don't even get a lunch break.
This woman's here with her new boyfriend to sort out her divorce. This man's trying to figure out how to divide his inheritance between Sistani and his children. The Sistani consultancy boasts a telephone hotline, open from 9 a.m. until sundown. The Quran is consulted. The advice depends on which verse his eyes fall on. Consulting God, as they call it, is fine if you're a local phone call away. But what if you're not? Millions of Shia are scattered across the world. Sistani.org offers advice on everyday personal matters, from keeping dogs to playing chess. Under S, there's screeds of guidance on sexual behaviour. Also under S, suicide, which, Sistani states, is not permitted under any circumstances, bombing included. Sistani confounds all the stereotypes. He's a modernizer from Iran who's used the internet to extend his power base.